My so-called husband is planning on ruining my life for a very small mistake I made. I don't know why he thinks it's okay to do what he's planning to do. Yes, I cheated on him, but I guess it was going to happen one way or another. He's a mommy's boy, and this is just me putting it mildly. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to give in to the temptation that kept on coming up. He should feel glad that I waited so long to cheat on his sorry self. That man had it coming one day or another, and he shouldn't even try to make it seem like he's surprised. You don't marry a woman, then suddenly try to change her. It's not your place, and it can never be your place to do that. I'm my own person, and he was very well aware of this before we got married. We had no prior conversation that stated I wasn't good enough, or I had to be someone else to please him and his annoying family. So why did everything suddenly get thrown on me? My name is Anastasia, and I'm a 24-year-old dancer. Yes, I'm a dancer, and it's something I love doing. I make money from it, and I'm also a choreographer, so I get gigs to teach people how to dance. But as it seems right now, my husband is using that against me and wants to get me fired. I think it's better to say that he's been using this fact against me for a very long time. According to him, I'm just too exposed to a lot of men. The name of my husband is Collins, and he's a 28-year-old banker. You guys see the difference, right? He's a banker, and I'm a dancer. Of course, we have different professions, and it can be very difficult to be a couple, but somehow we made it work, and we got married. What's making me more upset is the fact that we met while I was working at a party he was invited to. He literally spotted me while I was working, and now he's trying to say my job is bad. We exchanged numbers the first day we met, but none of us contacted each other for almost 5 months after exchanging numbers. I didn't know his age range back then because we hardly said much during the party. I actually thought he was my age mate because he looked like me in some kind of way. Fast forward to the day we finally contacted each other. Well, he contacted me first and asked me out on a date. I was less busy and decided to go. I didn't expect us to connect the way we did, and boom, after 2 years, we got married. I was 23 when we got married, and we've been married for just a year. I was just 23 years old when I got married. Of course, I'm still in my youth, and I'm not the most mature person. In fact, I never claimed to be mature. Was I ready for marriage before I got married? Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. I liked Collins a lot, and that's the only word I'm going to use. I don't know if love is the right word to use in this situation. I've never been in love, and I've never fallen for someone in my entire life. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the truth. I've been in relationships, and I've dated a few people. I liked them a lot, and we spent a lot of time together. But it's never been to an extent where I feel like I'm madly in love with this person and cannot wait to spend my entire life with them. Maybe that's because I'm not an overly emotional person, or because I'm always focused on working and earning money. But with Collins, I decided to get married to him because I felt like he was the most stable man if ever dated. Before, I just dated other dancers or artists because those were the kind of people I was mostly around. It was never because I preferred a certain profession. So when I met Collins, I just believed that he was the right man for me because he seemed like the serious type. I also liked the fact that he was a banker. I mean, dating a banker is far better than dating a dancer or an artist. Most artists are not ready to settle down. I felt like I was ready to get married, but I wasn't sure of it. But when I realized Collins was also ready to get married, I felt like it was for the best. So I said yes when he proposed, and then we tied the knot. I've always wanted to be that girl with a stable life. I've never really liked traveling many times as a result of work, but it's what I love doing and I can't stop. Even though I need to keep in shape everything because of my job, I told Collins I was ready to start a family with him 2 years into our marriage. That was the plan, and he didn't have any problem with it. Did I meet his annoying family before we got married? Of course, I met his whole family a total of 4 times before we tied the knot. They were well behaved throughout, and they never gave me any reason to feel like I was marrying into the wrong family. But 2 weeks after the wedding, it was war. Yes, war. And this isn't me exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all, and I don't think anyone else can understand my plight. Collins comes from a very big family. When I say big family, I mean that he has several siblings and cousins. His house is almost like an extended family because almost all his relatives, both married and single, live there. If you're wondering why that's the case, it's because his father was once a very rich man and he built a very exaggerated house. The house is actually quite big, and it has other houses in the property. According to what I was told, he got addicted to gambling and lost all the money within 2 years. Well, I don't know how true the story is, but this is what Collins told me. His father is late now. I heard he died in a car accident one night after drunk driving. So, after his death, most family members decided it was a good idea to move into the house because they felt it was very big and it could save all of them the cost of rent. Now, guys, I know you all are wondering how this has anything to do with the story, but trust me, it does. After the marriage, Collins asked me to follow him to his family house for their annual meeting, and I decided to follow him because, of course, I'm his wife and I should support him in situations like that. But I regretted the decision immediately when I got the family house, because I realized that they were just a big hurdle filled with bullies and people that talked down on other people just to make themselves feel better. I didn't get why everyone felt like it was right to comment on my body and tell me that I had to change. The fact that I was a dancer suddenly became a problem, and his mother made a very big fuss about it when I visited them during the annual meeting with Collins. She kept rubbing it in my face and telling me that dancing was not a real profession, and that I was just wasting my time and ruining my life because it was not a real profession, and it exposed me to a lot of unpalatable things. I had to ask her why my profession was suddenly a problem after the marriage, and why she didn't tell me everything before the marriage. That's when I discovered that Collins did not tell them I was a dancer before the marriage. He actually told them that I was a nurse and that I was a graduate of one big school like that. I was so surprised and angry that I didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't believe that Collins would lie about my profession and paint me out to be someone I was not. It was even more ridiculous that he had to hide my true profession from his family before they thought I was fit to be his wife. Another stupid thing is the fact that Collins was ashamed of telling his family that I was a dancer. I pulled him to the side and I asked him why he had to lie to his family and make it seem like I was a nurse when I was just a dancer. I'm a dancer and I'm proud of it. I've never been ashamed of what I do, and I don't think there's a reason for me to be ashamed of something that gives me money. I earned my satisfaction and I didn't beg from anyone or ask anyone to give me money. I would rather be a dancer than be roaming on the streets. The fact that his family thought they were better than me for some reason was just funny. They are the ones squatting with each other and living in a house that they didn't even build. They are basically jobless with nothing serious to do, and they are squatting together to save rent, yet they feel like they could dictate what profession I was into. If I had been getting judged by a multi-career family with several people in different fields that were actually successful in what they did and made a good living out of it, I would have actually felt bad. But I was getting judged by a family that couldn't even afford to stay on their own. What hurt me most was the fact that Collins just sat there and let them speak ill of me. So, when I call him foolish, don't judge me for it. Every decision he makes has to be dictated by his mother. If I knew I was getting married to a mummy's boy, I would have ran as far as my legs could carry me. He was so indecisive and quiet. I mean, how do you sit down in front of your family, then let them say whatever they want about your wife? How do you not say anything to defend her or make her feel better? It was like he made them believe I was a nurse so I wouldn't get quizzed by them and run away. Then, when he finally married me, he brought me to his house so they could charge me and make me get another job. I know some goody two-shoes women would try to tell me I should have just quit my job, but I'll say this ahead of time. I don't want any advice from those kinds of women because it just never makes sense. You met me as a dancer, then your entitled foolish self wants to change me after we tied the knot? If I quit working and stay at home to be your perfect wife just to shut you up, in less than 2 years, you'd still be the same man telling me I was feeding off your money and bringing nothing to the table. How ironic is that, and why would I want to be in that kind of situation? If I'd quit my job, Collins and his family would still try to talk down on me and make me feel like crap. So I made sure I didn't make such mistakes or get myself in such a compromising situation. It was just not something I was willing to do. When we got home that day after the annual family meeting, I was so angry that I didn't try to contain my anger or hide how I felt inside. I had to ask Collins why he thought it was right to sit silently at a gathering where my character was being butchered. No excuse. He had no excuse and couldn't come up with anything but the fact that he saw some truth in what they were saying. Yes, he says that to me. I don't even know why I married a banker. Maybe the artists I used to date were not ready to settle down, but at least they defended me in situations that were insulting. They never stood back and watched me get my character assassinated for something as trivial as being a dancer. That day, we had a very long argument, and I made it clear to Collins that I would not be changing my job or quitting it. I told him that I would remain a dancer, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. After that day, it was like I unleashed a beast in Collins. He became his family's puppet, and they tried to frustrate me together. He suddenly got upset with visiting his family and asking me to accompany him because he just wanted to see them talk ill of me and make me feel bad about myself. When I realized what he was trying to do, I decided to quit following him to his family house. I stopped accompanying him and told him he could go alone. He tried to make me feel like I was being unsupportive, but I rubbed it in his face and told him I didn't care. I finally got my peace of mind after I stopped going to his family house. I decided to spend more time at work instead of just sitting back at home and doing nothing in particular. I got a lot of gigs and shows that I had to work on. It was very fulfilling for me because after my wedding, my boss decided to give me fewer jobs because he felt like I would need to spend more time with my husband. But I guess he noticed that I wasn't really feeling the honeymoon bliss anymore, and he decided to get me back to work. More people had joined our dance team, and they were mostly guys. Yes, you read that right. I saw a pit of guys in our dance team, and it was quite surprising. Most of them looked more attractive than they should, and I actually anticipated going to work a lot. Yes, judge me for saying I found a few guys attractive. Well, that's the truth. I'm married and not blind, and so I don't think it's wrong for me to say what I see. They were very nice, and they always tried to come to me to ask me about the team since I worked longer than they did. I preferred speaking to them because I literally had a nagging husband and his jobless family waiting for me after work each day. I actually started regretting the fact that I got married as early as I did. I regretted it, and I still regret it. It's not something I'm scared of admitting because it's the absolute truth. When Collins noticed that I stopped going to see his family with him, he decided to bring his family to the house. I'm even getting angry just by recounting exactly what happened. I came back from work one day only to find that his sister, mother, and 2 of his cousins were at the house. Yes, you read that right, and it's actually true. They were at my house, and I was very surprised. I mean, it's not every day that you see something like that. I'd never brought anyone of my family members to the house before, and he's aware of it. There's never been a time when I tried to do that to him. I couldn't believe that he brought 4 people home without speaking to me first. Okay, I get that he's the owner of the house, but it only makes sense that he just tells me ahead of time even though he's not meant to ask for permission. After a stressful day at work, I came home to a very big bag of crap. Those people have to be the perfect definition of shameless people walking the surface of the earth. I couldn't even stay in the living room and watch TV without them bringing up discussions about my own body and how I was too thin. I hate his family. I hate them with an intense amount of passion. I don't care what anyone says because it is what it is. Collins, on the other hand, just sat there like he couldn't see what was going on. How do you expect me not to cheat on that kind of guy? A man that doesn't have a say on his own and only does things that his family asks him to do. That's the kind of man Collins is, and I was just not ready to take in any of their crap. I went to sleep in the room and waited for Collins so we could have a conversation, but he never came to the room. He spent the whole night entertaining his family, and I know this because I couldn't even get a wink of sleep as a result of the unnecessary noise they were all making. I tried to shake them off and get to sleep, but nothing that I tried worked. He preferred to spend the whole night whispering and laughing with his family rather than coming to the room to see his wife. I hadn't even started cheating on him back then, but can you guys see how foolish he was? Who wants to stay married to a mommy's boy? If you have seen the worst part of it, just listen to this. One day, while his mother, sister, and siblings were still at the house, something very annoying happened. I came back home after a stressful day at work only to be met by his annoying cousins, mother and sister. His mother told me she wanted to have a serious conversation with me. Of course, I innocently thought it was okay to sit down with her and talk. Maybe it was as a result of the stress at work, but I completely forgot that they hated me. At the end of the day, she ended up asking me why I was not pregnant yet. A go asks a woman why she isn't pregnant yet. She told me her son was not getting any younger and should already be a father. Well, I had to ask her why her son didn't get married earlier in his life to have a child, and why she wanted to make me the baby-making machine. I mean, I'm literally just 24 years old. I'm not saying I'm too young to have children, but I'm trying to say it doesn't make sense that I have to rush into things just because my husband is 4 years older than me. Besides, Collins and I already agreed ahead of time that we were not going to have children until we completed our 2 years anniversary. I spoke to Collins about what his mother says, and he told me he also wanted children and couldn't wait so long to have children. I told him I didn't want children yet, so there was no way I was going to get pressured into having children. It was a continuous back and forth, and I got tired of the problems in the marriage. Bai made no move to fix any of those problems because I just didn't believe that they had anything to do with me. If anything, I'd always tried my best to manage his family, but they are so rude and annoying. Collins is a whole different story, and I just got fed up. So what did I do? I cheated. Why? Because I wanted to, and because I felt like I was married to a baby. I was tired of the marriage, but didn't have the guts to ask for a divorce because I didn't want to end up homeless yet. I wanted to keep working and earn enough money to get my own apartment. I had a lot saved up before, but after I got married to Collins, I spent recklessly because he's a banker and earned enough money. I wasn't paying rent like I did before, and I wasn't paying the bills, so I bought a lot of expensive things. I only started saving when I realized my marriage to Collins was headed for doom. So one of the guts in the dance team is my affair partner, and we hit things off after months of being friends. We slept together 2 nights after my 1-year wedding anniversary, and we have been together ever since. But I never thought Collins would end up finding out. Apparently, one of his nosy sisters decided to follow me to my dance studio, and she saw me kissing my affair partner outside the dance studio. My boss is aware of the relationship, but it's not his business, so he kept quiet. But Collins's nosy sister took a picture and sent it to Collins. I got home 2 days ago, and Collins decided to give me the scare of my life. The house was scattered and almost everything looked broken. He was so angry that he kept cursing and screaming all sorts of degrading words. I thought that would be all, but he sent me out of the house yesterday and burnt all my sneakers. He threw my things outside and locked me out. I'm staying at my affair partner's place now, but Collins is still after my peace. I heard from someone that he's planning to get me fired and humiliate me. I don't get why he even cares so much. He made the bed and I just slept on it. It's his fault as much as it's mine. But wanting to get me fired? It's just too much. Update. I'm now jobless, and it's all thanks to Collins. He wasn't joking when he promised to ruin my life. It's been 6 months, and I've witnessed hell, literally. Even after he sent me divorce papers 2 weeks later and I signed it, he made sure he got me fired. I never thought my boss would fire me, and I was so confident, but I don't know what deal Collins striked with him that made him fire me. I trusted my boss so much because I've worked with him for so long, and I still can't believe he fired me. Collins also hired some thugs to threaten my affair partner and tell him lies about me. He sent me out of the house 2 months after my divorce with Collins was finalized. I was living off the little I'd saved up and put all my hopes in getting spousal support. But I just discovered that I would not be getting any spousal support anytime soon. Apparently, our marriage was just 1 year, and I worked and earned enough to be independent and was not very reliant on him. My lawyer tried his best, but we had to settle for very little. Now, Collins has 6 months before he gets to pay me the little spousal support. I'm broke till then. Collins really did switch things up to ruin my life. The mommy's boy decided to teach me a lesson, and here I am, single and broke with no job. It definitely hurts.